Thanks for checking them out on YouTube channel here with King of Podcasts, yours truly. Please go ahead and help out this channel and help support me with what I'm doing here, and also the podcast that you listen to this as well, by going to my Amazon link, special Amazon link, kingofamazon.com. That's kingofamazon.com. That's how you go to Amazon and you help out the show. Plus, you can also go to my Cash App, which is at King of All Podcasts. Cash App is at King of All Podcasts, or paypal.me/King of Podcasts. I must admit, I'm missing my side hustle. I used to do a little Uber and Lyft on the side on the weekends. And the weekend's coming up as I'm recording this, and it's unfortunate I don't have Uber and Lyft are going to do to kind of make a little extra income. So I haven't had that, and that's what sucks. I used to it would be nice to go and pass the time doing that because I really enjoyed it. But right now, is it going to be around when the pandemic is done? That's the question. The results are in for the sharing economy. They are ugly. New York Times reports on this. Let's talk about it. So Lyft, Uber, and Airbnb also has to be counted on this as well. They depend on travel, vacations, and gatherings, and that's a problem when much of the world is staying home. So in earnings reports this week, Uber and Lyft disclosed their financial earnings. They said their business is all but collapsed in March, the last month of the first quarter. Writing extends beyond ride-hailing. The home-sharing company Airbnb, investors value at $31 billion, had planned to go public this year, but now they're slashing costs and raise emergency funding as they laid off 1,900 employees, 25% of its staff, and reduces revenue forecast to half of what it brought in last year. So companies are founding on the notion that they might become as big as possible, as quickly as possible, and worry about making a profit somewhere down the line. They now face an uncertain future, and their timelines for returning a profit appear now to have been tossed aside. That's not good. So according to Daniel Ives, Managing Director of Equity Research at Wedbush Securities, he says, based on our analysis of the gig economy, the overall pie of consumers, unfortunately, there's a slice that, until there's a vaccine, will not get in a ride-sharing vehicle or use an Airbnb. I don't think any vaccine is going to be doing like that. I'm not one of those people that says that we're going to have to wait for a vaccine for people to get out there. I think a certain portion of the population will want to do that, but I myself will not. I want to get back out there as quickly as I can. Safely, of course. And I would expect the same for everybody else. So California is one of the biggest hit, and that's where both companies came from, Uber and Lyft. Well, there's now a new lawsuit where the California Attorney General is suing the companies, claiming that they misclassified their drivers as independent contractors. And so that might make hundreds of millions of dollars in civil penalties and back wages be paid back to drivers. Airbnb, in an effort to bolster confidence, because they're going to wonder how are people going to want to offer rentals as a side business dealing with virus safety. So in an effort to bolster confidence in its listings, the company announced a new set of cleaning standards for its rentals in April, and guests can opt out for a 72 or 24-hour vacancy period before they enter. Interesting. So Airbnb is trying to make the point known. And this is where, if you are holding an Airbnb property, man, you're going to have to find some real professional people that are trained in handling, real antiseptic, real detailed, hygienic, cleaning. I can only imagine what that's going to be. But I'll tell you, the cleaning business, I think if you need to go and find work, if you need to start a cleaning business that was specific to this, I think that's where you make real money in right now, in the short term, immediately after the pandemic. I think cleaning becomes a big deal in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a corporate entity that will say, okay, we need certain people to handle cleaning and hygiene. There'll be departments of that. And then you have people that are contracting for that. So they'll have independent contractors to do that instead, which might be a big deal out there. So now, what have Lyft and Uber been able to do since the pandemic? Well, they've been able to do certain things. Now, Lyft said its rides on service fell nearly 80% in late March and remained down 75% in mid-April. May, people started to return cautiously back to Lyft, but rides were still down 70%. If passengers continue to stay away, Lyft predicts it will lose nearly $360 million on an adjusted basis. There you go. Oof, tough. Uber, in the same way, they grew 14% from the same quarter last year, but their losses ballooned to $2.9 billion. So here's what's going on here now. Use of Uber's ride service was down 80% in April, but they are seeing a bright spot in food delivery. It's grown 89%. So the good thing for Uber was they already had branched out to other models when it comes to employees, when it comes to food delivery, when it comes to other deliveries. Because now they're also, being a courier service for others, doing the same way, which is contactless. And the driver only has to worry about taking products as opposed to taking passengers that might have the virus. So that's not a bad thing. Now, Uber laid off 14% of its employees on Wednesday, cutting 3,700 people from recruiting and customer service organizations. The CEO will not take a salary for the rest of the year, and that's where we are with that. So Uber Eats increased demand. Unfortunately, there are going to be several international markets that they're going to shut down, and because it's just not worth them, they're going to keep doing it there. Bike and scooter business is also bad because they invested in Lime, a bike and scooter business that's out there, and allowing people to offload bikes and scooters while it's offering its Lime fleet in its app. So there's a lot of issues right here in this whole story. But here's another problem that's even worse, which is a survey out there that's trying to say, when this pandemic subsides, will people go back to ride sharing? Well, here we go, or ride hailing. So survey suggests we're pretty much done with ride sharing after all this. This is from thedrive.com. Here's what they said. Studies by CarGurus and the IBM Institute for Business Value together surveyed 26,000 Americans, adults, and found that half have developed a distrust for ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft. 39% of 722 respondents from CarGurus, they said they plan to use less or no ride shares whatsoever from here on out. And more than half of the 25,000 plus respondents in the IBM Institute survey said similar. The survey also said that 24% will cease using rideshare adjacent services like taxis, even though taxis may be 100th as germy as your average Uber. That's the other thing. So taxis in general, public transportation is going to suffer as a result of this survey from the IBM survey they're talking about. And that's a bigger thing. So now 28% of respondents who take public transport, my God, such as buses or trains, said they will use these modes of mobility less often. And more than 20% say they will stop entirely. People still need to get around, though, and they will default to the safest way they know, that being the car. 17% and 49% by IBM and CarGurus, respectively, said they will use their own vehicles more. 25% they'll use private forms of transport exclusively. So car services will now become the norm, which is, it's not a license thing, and you're not using through an app. So pricing, I'm not sure how that works out. That's going to be tough, guys. Uber and Lyft, I think people are going to go back to it. The thing is that, you just got to make sure that you have your cars done a certain way. And, there's things you got to do to kind of help out with that. And I think this is where, if people are going to go in, they're going to go in. But then again, Uber and Lyft drivers have to be absolutely sure their cars are spotless. Lysol, masks, gloves, whatever you got to do to make people feel comfortable that you're being very hygienic and that you're caring is what you have to do if you're even going to do it. But for me right now, I'm not getting out on the road to do that for a while. When I know I don't have to wear masks and wear gloves and, maybe the plexiglass goes down, maybe I'll get back on the road and pop on the app.